Horrid Henry's Nits, illustrated by Tony Ross. Chapter 1. Scratch, scratch, scratch. Dad scratched his head. "Stop scratching, please," said Mom. "We're eating dinner." Mom scratched her head. "Stop scratching, please," said Dad. "We're eating dinner." Henry scratched his head. "Stop scratching, Henry," said Mom and Dad. "Uh-oh," said Mom. She put down her fork and frowned at Henry. "Henry, do you have nits again?" "Of course not," said Henry. "Come over to the sink, Henry," said Mom. "Why?" said Henry. "I need to check your head." Henry dragged his feet over to her as slowly as possible. "It's not fair," he thought. It wasn't his fault nits loved him. Henry's head was a gathering place for nits far and wide. They probably held knit parties there, and foreign nits visited him on their holidays. Mom dragged the knit comb across Henry's head. She made a face and groaned. "You're crawling with nits, Henry," said Mom. "Oh, let's see," said Henry. He always liked counting how many nits he had. 1, 2, 3, 45, 46, 47. He counted, dropping them onto a paper towel. "It's not polite to count nits," said his younger brother, Perfect Peter, wiping his mouth with his spotless napkin. "Is it, Mom?" "It certainly isn't," said Mom. Chapter 2. Dad dragged the knit comb across his head and made a face. "Ugh," said Dad. Mom dragged the comb through her hair. "Blatch," said Mom. Mom combed Perfect Peter's hair. Then she did it again and again and again. "No need, Peter," said Mom, smiling. "As usual. Well done, darling." Perfect Peter smiled modestly. "It's because I wash and comb my hair every night," said Peter. Henry scowled. True, his hair was filthy, but then, "Nits love clean hair," said Henry. "No, they don't," said Peter. "I've never ever had nits." "Well, we'll see about that," thought Henry. When no one was looking, he picked a few nits off the paper towel. Then he wandered over to Peter and casually fingered a lock of his hair. "Lip, scratch, scratch." "Mom," squealed Peter. "Peter is pulling my hair." "Stop it, Henry," said Dad. "I wasn't pulling his hair," said Henry indignantly. "I just wanted to see how clean it was, and it is so lovely and clean," added Henry sweetly. I wish my hair was as clean as Peter's." Peter beamed. It wasn't often that Henry said anything nice to him. "Right," said Mom grimly. "Everyone upstairs. It's shampoo time." Chapter 3. "No," shrieked Horrid Henry. "No shampoo." He hated the stinky, smelly, horrible shampoo much more than he hated having nits. Only today his teacher, Miss Battle-Axe, had sent home a neat letter. "Beware, nits, 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 nits. Nits have been seen in school. Get rid of them. Wash your hair with supersonic nit blasting shampoo, please. Or else. Nit shampoo." Naturally, Henry had crumpled the letter and thrown it away. He was never ever going to have pongy neat shampoo on his head again. What rotten luck Mom had spotted him scratching. "It's the only way to get rid of neats," said Dad. "But it never works," screamed Henry, and he ran for the door. Mom and Dad grabbed him. Then they dragged him kicking and screaming to the bathroom. "Nits are living creatures," howled Henry. "Why kill them?" "Because," said Mom. Because they're blood-sucking nits," said Dad. "Blood-sucking." Henry had never thought of that. In the split second that he stood still to consider this interesting information, Mom emptied the bottle of supersonic neat blasting shampoo over his hair. No, screamed Henry. Frantically, he shook his head. There was shampoo on the door. There was shampoo on the floor. There was shampoo all over Mom and Dad. The only place there was no shampoo was on Henry's head. Henry, stop being horrid, yelled Dad, wiping shampoo off his jacket. What a big fuss over nothing, said Peter. Henry lunged at him. Mom seized Henry by the collar and held him back. Now, Peter, said Mom, that wasn't a kind thing to say to Henry, was it? Not everyone is as brave as you. Right, you're right, Mom, said perfect Peter. I was being rude and thoughtless. It won't happen again. I'm so sorry, Henry. Mom smiled at him. That was a perfect apology, Peter. As for you, Henry, she sighed. We'll get more shampoo tomorrow. Phew, thought Henry, giving his head an extra good scratch. Safe for one more day. Chapter 4. Next morning at school, a group of parents burst into the classroom, waving the neat letter and shouting, Mr. Margaret doesn't have needs. She never has and she never will. How dare you send home such a letter? Shrieked moody Margaret's mother. The idea! My Josh doesn't have needs, Scott shouted his mother. My Toby doesn't have needs. Some nasty child in this class isn't bug busting, shouted his father. Middle Battle Axe squared her shoulders. Rest assured that the culprit will be found, she said. I have declared war on neats. Scratch, scratch, scratch. Miss Battle Axe spun round. Her beady eyes swiveled over the class. Who's scratching? She demanded. Silence. Henry bent over his worksheet and tried to look studious. Henry is, said moody Margaret. Liar, shouted Horrid Henry. It was William. Weepy William burst into tears. No, it wasn't, he sobbed. Miss Bellax glared at the class. I'm going to find out once and for all who's got needs, she growled. I don't. Silence, ordered Miss Bellax. Nora, the nurse, is coming this morning. Who's got needs? Who's not bug busting? We'll all find out soon. Uh-oh, thought Henry. Now I'm sunk. There was no escaping knitted Nora Bug Explorer and her ferocious combs. Everyone would know he had the needs. Rude Ralph would never stop teasing him. He'll be shampooed every night. Mom and Dad would find out about all the neat letters he'd thrown away. He could, of course, get a tummy ache double quick and be sent home. But knitted Nora had a horrible way of remembering whose head she hadn't checked and then combing it in front of the whole class. He could run screaming out of the door saying he had caught mad cow disease, but somehow he didn't think Miss Bellax would believe him. There was no way out. This time he was well and truly stuck. Unless, suddenly Henry had a wonderful, spectacular idea. It was so weak and so horrible that even Horrid Henry hesitated. But only for a moment. Desperate times call for desperate measures. Henry leaned over Clever Claire and brushed his head lightly against hers. Lip, scratch, scratch. Get away from me, Henry, teased Claire. I was just admiring your lovely picture, said Henry. He got up to sharpen his pencil. On his way to the sharpener, he brushed against greedy Graham. Lipped, scratch, scratch. On his way back from the sharpener, Henry stumbled and fell against anxious Andrew. Leap, scratch, scratch. Oh, yelped Andrew. Sorry, Andrew, said Henry. What big clumsy feet I have. Hoofs, he added, tripping over the carpet and banging heads with Whippy William. Lip, scratch, scratch. Wah, wailed William. Sit down at once, Henry, said Miss Battle-Axe. William, stop scratching. Bert, how do you spell cat? I don't know, said beefy Bert. Horrid Henry leaned across the table and put his head close to Bert's. C-A-T, he whispered helpfully. Lip, scratch, scratch. Then Horrid Henry raised his hand. Yes, said Middleback Battle-Axe. I don't understand these instructions, said Henry sweetly. Could you help me, please? Miss Battle-Axe frowned. She liked to keep as far away from Henry as possible. Reluctantly, she came closer and bent over his work. Henry leaned his face near her. Leap, scratch, scratch. Chapter 6.